SIU reviewed the issue and said that they wouldn't even take carriage of the matter.
Why they take that away kind of rights to my husband, and all he's just trying to do is obey and showing to our son that this is what you're supposed to be doing. And he do that until his last breath. He obeyed the law and showing, but they never listened. They failed. This officer failed my husband. He failed the rights to take away everything from him, and they cost his life.
I wish my father was still here. They took away my father, and I didn't have a chance to say goodbye.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Windsor, Ontario. And folks, I'm about to bring you a horrible story that basically began as a misunderstanding, which led to law enforcement overreach and ultimately led to unspeakable and unnecessary tragedy. And I'm with Christian and Rose Grey, and they're here to talk about, in the case of Christian, his father, in the case of Rose, her husband, Colin Grey, which a few weeks ago ended up crossing the Ambassador Bridge from Michigan back into Ontario, and subsequently, hours later, died, I would argue, unnecessarily. Now, Christian, why don't we start with you, because you are an eyewitness. You were there that day on November 29th when you and your father were coming back from the Detroit airport where Rose had been dropped off to catch a flight to Seattle. And you are encountering the customs agent at the bridge. Then what happened?
We were just crossing, and we were just, my father was asking a few questions, and a couple of minutes later, they asked for the keys and for my father and I to step out of the car.
And the border guard calls the Windsor Police Service.
Yes, they did, and it was like hours later.
Meanwhile, you and your father, you were indicating to them that he needs his medication. I think he had an IV tube in his arm. And you saw this firsthand, didn't you, Christian? They asked him to blow into the breathalyzer. I believe your father did 3 times, but they thought he wasn't trying. Meanwhile, he has lung conditions where he physically cannot blow hard enough.
I've been telling them that my father had neuropathy. He has problems breathing, and he has wounds on his feet. I'm looking at my father, and he was trying I can tell he was trying his best to breathe into the breathalyzer. When I was there, and when I was looking at him, it felt like torture.
Eventually, they finally release your father. He's walking to the taxi cab. He must take a cab now, folks, because his vehicle has been seized. And within a minute of him being released, and what happened to your father next, Christian?
He went to the door and he just collapsed. He was on his knees. When we were bringing him into the front of the station, he collapsed again. And in the middle of the CPR, I heard a...
And so 3 times they ask, do you need any medications? And they add in that we will make arrangements to get it to you. That's my personal experience. But here we have your husband saying, I need my meds. His son, Christian, saying, my father needs his meds. And they're ignoring these pleas. Why?
That's my question to them. Why they take that away from him? As a human being, you should be caring someone else, right? Yeah. And this person you see in needs, and that's what they swear. They're supposed to be protecting the community. Yeah. They're just coming back home. Yeah. This is his home, Canada. And they treat him like an animal like that. He doesn't deserve that. All I'm just asking, did you guys
give him a medical attention prior with his passing. No one give me an answer. Even the ambassador, no one called until this time. My husband's birthday today, December 15th. No one reaching. That, this is what happened. This is what happened. The first thing that I get, I never, that the mayor of city of Windsor, they talking to the media and everything. They say, oh, I'm so sorry for the family. Do you think they reach out? Never.
They provided life-saving measures. Unfortunately, it was unsuccessful. And so at the end of the day, I feel extremely sorry for the family.
Folks, when someone dies in police custody, it's a no-brainer that the Special Investigations Unit, the SIU, does their own external investigation. But I understand they've released a statement saying it's out of their jurisdiction.
SIU reviewed the issue and said that they wouldn't even take carriage of the matter because the person wasn't in custody.
A man died. They can't just brush this under the rug as, oops, we made an error.
It costs life. And all they just need to do is just listen. If they just listen, this is what happened. We're still celebrating his birthday today with him. Yeah. And my father and the kids still have their dad. Until his last breath, he obeyed the law and showing, but they never listened. They failed. This officer failed my husband. He failed the rights to take away everything from him, and they cost his life.
I wish my father was still here. They took away my father, and I didn't have a chance to say goodbye.
Will be suing the Canada border in a bridge, the Ambassador Bridge, and the Windsor PD, and they need to make sure that they reserve all the evidence because they, of course, still active investigation regarding on his death.
Hey, folks, this story is absolutely tragic. There should be a media snowball regarding this horrible story, and I hope it transpires. Nevertheless, we depend on you, not the federal government of Canada, for our funding. If you can, could you please go to rebelfieldreports.com. That's rebelfieldreports.com. And if you're able to, kindly make a donation so that Rebel News can continue to bring you the other side of the story.